Stories can conquer fear, They can make the heart bigger. This quote provides a good argument for the stories we've been studying this semester because through these stories we can see how this quote really comes to life. In stories, we are allowed to enter another world completely. We're allowed to escape our day-to-day struggles and the mundaneness of our day-to-day lives. And through stories, they can prompt us to face our fears and grow as human beings, because sometimes we can see ourselves reflected in the characters that we're reading about. And through the stories that we're reading, we may be able to experience things that we've never had a chance to experience in our lives. Stories allow us to expand our knowledge and to feel things that sometimes we may not feel in our lives. In the story Two Kinds by Amy Tan, the quote, "When I stood up, I discovered my legs were shaking. Maybe I had just been nervous and the audience, like old Chong, had seen me go through the motions and not heard anything wrong at all." Page 453. Now, this quote supports the argument that the quote sets forth in that stories can conquer fear, because in that part of the story of Two Kinds, the girl, she had just finished playing her song in her talent show, and her mom wanted her to be this prodigy and to be this amazing kid, but by that point in the story, she really didn't want to be what her mom wanted her to be, so she just rebelled and she was practicing just however she wanted. And when she gets done playing, she realizes that she's scared because she knows her mom knew that she wasn't practicing with her full potential, and she knew that she could see that the drive wasn't there in her daughter like she wished it was. In another story, The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, we can see how we see quotes that also support the argument of stories can make us better. The things they carried were largely determined by necessity, page 402. And in the quote, "Almost everyone humped photographs," page 404, we can see how those two quotes help support the argument. These quotes apply to the prompt because each soldier carried their weapons that they needed and all the basic necessities that they needed while they were on the battlefield, but they also carried photographs from home, which they called humping. Photographs are like a visual story. It's like a snapshot of what was happening in their lives at that moment in time. And photographs were a small, tangible item that the soldiers could carry with them to remind them of home and to allow them a small escape when they were in the trenches and in unfathomable conditions on the battlefield. And those photographs probably helped the soldiers conquer their fears of dying in battle, getting wounded in battle, because they could look at those photographs and remember that there was a life outside of the battlefield. It wasn't just life on a battlefield. There was life back at home in America. These quotes apply to the prompt because while they help support the prompt of stories can conquer fear, these stories really can help us conquer fear, because in some stories you have, like for example, in our lives, sometimes we don't realize what's going on in our lives. We don't know how to process things that are happening. But when we sit down and read a story and the characters' lives parallel with ours, we can see how that character works through their issues, and maybe we can apply how they work through their issues to how we get through our issues. The second part of the quote, "They can make the heart grow bigger," is just meaning by sometimes our emotions are pulled in just a few pages. Like authors have the ability to pull at our heartstrings in just a matter of pages, and when that is happening, we're growing as a person. we're growing and we're learning from these authors and what they're trying to tell us, because every author has a message they want to get through when they write a story, whether we pick it up or not. But if we do pick it up, we're learning a little bit more about life, because life is always changing and we're always going new places, learning new things. But with stories, we're able to learn a little bit more through a different reality, through a world that's not our own.